Hey there, StarCraft 2 fans. Welcome back to another broadcast. Today we're going to be looking at Game 2 between Cheeseblock and FuzzyNickles here on Xel'Naga Caverns. This is part of the Kraft Gaming Cup. Their website is going to be down in the description bar below. Feel free to check them out. The first game between these two players, we had the Zerg player, unfortunately, with a little bit of indecision from his tech trees, just get a little bit behind in terms of macro on the Terran player, and the Terran player was just able to overwhelm the Zerg player with his drops and with his harassment, and was just able to take him out. Here on Xel'Naga Caverns, we have in the bottom left-hand corner FuzzyNickles, the blue Zerg player, doing the extractor trick there with his drone, and in the upper right-hand corner, we have the pink Terran player, Cheeseblock. Cheeseblock opened up pretty similar last time at the top of the ramp with the supply depot, not doing anything at the bottom of the ramp, similar to that we saw in Game 1 between Mouse and Monk, Moon Monk. So pretty standard play here from the Terran player. If we take a look over at the APM tab, we'll see that the Terran player actually looks like he's spamming quite a bit at 200 APM, while the Zerg player is pretty significantly lower at only 60 APM. Obviously APM not a good indicator of skill all the time, but it does definitely show how each player is effective in use of their keystrokes and mouse clicks. The drone attempting to punch away at the Terran player's SCV there, however he's not able to pick that off because the Terran player did respond very promptly and is able to take that out. Does have one SCV making constellation shapes down here. He's on patrol, moving back and forth, making sure that the Zerg player is not able to throw down that early expansion. Excuse me, I've had a terrible cough the past several days, so I apologize for that. Now, we do have the spawning pool nearly complete for the Zerg player here. Gas finishing at the same time, so probably going to look to start out with some early speedlings. Probably maybe transition into mutiling, similar to what he did last time. However, didn't quite get out enough Mutilists, and then they weren't very effective once he did have them out. They did make one play at his main, at the Terran player's main, but unfortunately with the Thor there, just weren't very effective in terms of doing any sort of damage. We do see that the Terran player is still scouting around the base here, just moving around, seeing what he can see, and he's going to go back down here and continue to block this expansion from the Zerg player if one does go down anytime soon. Taking a look up at the Terran player's base, we do see a factory going down, so looking to do the 1-1-1 build again. Last time he used it to great effect, getting out those early Hellions to stop the Speedlings, and then transitioning into a Banshee, which did do some damage. Not as effective as what we saw in Game 2 of Moon Monk versus Mouse, where the Banshees were terribly effective and dealt so much damage to the Zerg player. One thing I did want to mention is this is actually a double elimination tournament, so the game setup might be a little bit funny in terms of who's playing who and when, but when we get to the finals, I'll recap basically who finished what position and the different players and how they fared. We do have the factory nearly finished with a reactor going down for the Terran player, so probably looking to open exactly the same way that he did last time. Probably going to swap these two buildings to get those early Hellions out. We do have the expansion going down for the Zerg player nearly halfway complete. And we do have Zerglings picking away at this SCV here, actually able to take it out. We do have a single Marine out here up at the, actually two Marines up here at the top of the ramp, so it's going to ward away any sort of Zerglings that want to put on pressure. One thing I like that the Terran player does really well is to establish a good wall here. There is no chance for a Baneling bust on this wall. The only opportunity he would have is to bust down this one supply depot, but I really don't think that's going to happen. He does build up very heavily around this wall. The Zerg player I just don't think would be very effective at overcoming that. If we take a look over at the income tab, we'll notice that the Zerg player is quite far ahead in terms of harvesters, and about even on income simply because of this little guy right here, mining 30 minerals per trip. The supply depot going down for the Terran player. He is not quite supply blocked, so very good timing on that supply depot. We do see a medevac being produced actually, so maybe looking to juke the Zerg player into thinking that he's going to go Banshee. Not sure exactly what his plans are there. He does push out the 4 Hellions again, so the Hellions are going to come down here, roast away those 2 Zerglings without taking a single shot. Turn on the hit point bars just so we can see exactly what's going on. We'll see that these Hellions are going to check out both Xel'Naga watchtowers, and then probably going to make a play down. Actually, it looks like he could be retreating. Would like to see him push down here. We do see a couple of spine crawlers going down for the Zerg player, so he is aware that the Hellions are on the field. Is aware that they could potentially do a lot of damage to those drones down here that are mining happily away. We do see the Zerg player placing an Overlord here at this expansion. Very good placement there. And we do have the medevac coming now to pick up these 4 Hellions. So, in effect, these spine crawlers are going to be useless. This is basically 200 minerals wasted because of this one flying little medevac, which is going to drop up here, and with nothing to spot this particular section of the map for the Zerg player, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. These Hellions are going to be able to come in here and roast away all of these drones if the Zerg player isn't careful. Unfortunately for the Terran player, roaches did just spawn at the right time. The Hellions coming in here getting 2 kills, it looks like there, 3, now getting a 4th, maybe even a 5th kill. Definitely doing a lot of damage, 6, maybe 7 kills there. If we take a look at these Hellions, that one has 4 kills. That one didn't even get to look, but he does not lose a single Hellion. Does have 1 Hellion here that is in the red. However, not losing a single Hellion makes that a very, very effective attack. In addition, we will notice that the harvester count for the Zerg player now very far below the Terran player, down to 19 harvesters. So he did lose quite a lot of units in there, and basically no losses from the Terran player whatsoever. So definitely a very, very effective attack. Looks like he's going to go ahead and drop down here. Does have the SCV here. He could potentially be looking to repair those Hellions if he does drop them off here, or if he's just planning on pushing back in and doing more damage while he can. We'll notice that the Zerg player does not have anything here to spot either, so unfortunately the Zerg player is not even going to see this coming. That SCV is going to get happily healed away, and it looks like the Hellions are going to push forward here. 1 poke from the spine crawler, however 1 drone does go down, 2, 3 drones go down, maybe 4 or 5. Looks like the targeting not quite as good as it could be, but the again escaping with almost no casualties, actually no casualties whatsoever, a little bit of damage, but in effect the Terran player is making very, very good use of these drops. He's able to do an insane amount of effective harassment, all the while able to capture his expansion. We'll see the orbital command floating across here. That orbital command will have enough energy to drop a mule as soon as it does land. Still pumping out medevacs here, so not actually looking to do any sort of Banshee play this game like he did last game. Actually, he does have 1 Banshee here. My mistake. I apologize. Let's shift back over to the production tab just so we can catch little mistakes like that in the future. We do have STEM nearly halfway complete here. Siege mode about the same, and we have vehicle weapons 1, so those siege tanks are going to be able to do even more damage than before. And again, this Queen versus Banshee. Banshee's going to win every time. So unless the Zerg player is going to pull a Queen up here, which he should be doing with this Queen, that Queen's going to go down, and now the Terran player is going to focus down these drones. The Zerg player is going to have to continue to produce these drones. He's going to lose even more. Already 4 kills, 5 kills on this Banshee, 6 kills, just doing so much damage. 8 kills now. This Banshee has definitely paid for itself many times over, and the Zerg player not actually should be bringing this Queen up here. I'm not sure if the Queen can't be stuck. It looks like we did have another drop here, so additional drones going down. Just very effective harassment from this Terran player. However, the Banshee is picked off by these mutalisks that spawned. I apologize, I missed that drop down there. It looks like the Hellions were finally taken out. However, they probably were able to do another insane amount of damage. We'll see some low health points on a couple of those drones. So odds are they got off several hits before the Queen and the Roaches were able to pick them off. And we do see the medevac just narrowly escaping those mutalisks there. So very nice play from the Terran player. Very effective harassment that he's able to do. We do have another tank produced up here as well as a Thor. Cheeseblock in particular, it seems to be that he is very intent on producing 1 Thor just to have with his army, 1 or 2 Thors. He does seem to do that very well. We do see that he is getting harassed a little bit now. The missile turret has been halted by the mutalisks there, picking off that 1 SCV. And we'll notice that the mutalisks are actually going to attempt to focus down the engineering bay here. Good placement on this engineering bay. It prevents any sort of run-bys from those Zerglings passing through here directly into the mineral line. And does just let the Terran player know if something is coming back here that he should be expecting. We do have another guys are going down from the Terran player, so probably going to look to tech up just a little bit more, continuing to produce SCVs, and he has to actually supply block. Looks like he has been for quite a while. So unfortunately, Terran player, it looks like he's slipping a little bit on his macro. He's been doing a lot of very micro-intensive attacks so far with the drops and the Banshee. So unfortunately, he's just been slipping a little bit on his macros, so can't fault him too much for that. It happens. It does look like he's actually become supply blocked again, so needs to make sure to keep pumping out those SCVs as much as possible. We'll notice that he does have 1 Thor here in his main, just keeping watch, make sure that those mutalisks don't come in there and do any sort of damage. Now we do have the medevacs loading up a good amount of units here. However, they probably are going to drop off after the Mutalisks do see that attack coming. Mutalisks look like they're going to still attempt to pick this off, and unless that upgrade is canceled, he could lose those minerals. However, with the Mutalisks so clumped up like that, the Thor does so much damage with each one of those volleys of missiles that are fired. However, the engineering bay now on fire. Unless the Terran player repairs that, he could actually lose that engineering bay, that wall that he's constructed back there. But it looks like the Terran player is not going to care about that. He's going to go ahead and push forward here. We'll see the medevacs getting a little bit separated from the army there. Never want that to happen. If we take a look at the size of this army, he does have a pretty significant amount of Marines, a couple of tanks, a single Thor, 3 tanks it looks like, bringing along an SCV, and oh, those Mutalisks caught out of position and loses almost all of his Mutalisks. The Roaches here, simply not enough to deal with this army, I don't believe. I think the siege tanks are just going to be able to siege up here. We'll notice that he's stair-stepping them just a little bit, hopefully to prevent any sort of bailing attacks. I think there were some Zerglings there. I'm not sure what exactly happened to that one siege tank, but the Marines pushing forward here, and these siege tanks in the back doing so much damage. Unfortunately, the Zerglings pushing forward, they are able to do quite a bit of damage to those, quite a bit of friendly fire to these Marines. And with the medevacs so far out of position, I'm not sure what happened to the medevacs. So far out of position, these Marines are just sitting ducks, basically. But the siege tank's just doing incredible damage. That spine crawler's been taken out. This spine crawler's been taken out. All the Roaches are now gone. There's the medevacs. Where did you go, medevacs? You needed to be up here with your army. But it does look like that FuzzyNickles is going to call the GG. Unfortunately, he just wasn't able to macro up a big enough army to deal with the Terran force. And the Terran used those drops again and the harassment so effectively, dealing so much damage to those drones. He took out so many drones in the beginning that it was really going to be impossible for the Zerg player to recover. And with that weapon upgrade for the Thors and for the siege tanks, he's able to deal so much damage to those Roaches and those Zerglings. So unfortunately, the Zerg player just was out-macroed and outplayed, I believe. We will move on to the next set, which is going to be FuzzyNickles versus Moonmonk. Moonmonk actually was, I believe, somewhat of the loser of the first round between Mouse and Moonmonk. They actually took a game apiece, so I'm not sure how exactly they wanted that to work out, but it will be FuzzyNickles versus Moonmonk, so it will be the losers bracket, I believe. That will be a 3-game set, so we'll be looking forward to that. If you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Otherwise, if you're interested and you'd like to subscribe, please feel free to do so. I would greatly appreciate that. Thanks for watching, guys.